Welcome to Two Hearts Dance and Yoga's Heart to Heart series. My name is Leanne Barber, owner and creator of Two Hearts Dance and Yoga, and it's my pleasure to bring you some light of joy in our time together here. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, please make sure you subscribe below. But I'm super excited to welcome Shannon Dooling-Cain. It is my pleasure to welcome her today. Shannon spent most of her life dancing in the suburbs of Philadelphia. We met each other when she lived in the Washington, D.C. area for 6 years, and now she is currently living in Arizona. She is a proud alumni of the University of Maryland College Park, where she earned an MFA in dance in 2013, and Desales University in Center Valley, Pennsylvania, where she earned a BA in dance in 2007. Shannon teaches dance to students from age 2 to 60, from absolute beginner to professional, and has been a faculty member and guest artist at universities, studios, schools, and community organizations. For 7 years, she co-directed New Street Dance Group with Krista Armbruster, and she went on to co-found the NACHMO DC, a hub of the National Choreography Month initiative, alongside the most amazing women of Glade Dance Collective. She is active as a teacher, choreographer, coach, adjudicator, and solo performer. She is a blogger and a creator of the Holistic Dance Teacher, helping dance teachers elevate their teaching without sacrificing work-life balance, and creates tools for planning. Thank you so much for joining us today, Shannon.
Thanks for reading that whole long bio. My goodness. Thank you for having me. I'm really delighted to be here and chat with you again. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's really great to see you again. We spent some time in Greenbelt at New Chicago teaching together, which was awesome.
Amazing little moment in my life, and I think in yours too. Really great students. So.
Absolutely. And it's really just great to reconnect again. Since many of my viewers are local to Philadelphia, can you tell us where you grew up?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Bensalem, and I went to Nazareth Academy in Northeast Philadelphia for high school. And then I danced at Bucks County Dance Center, and then later at Princeton Ballet School. Kind of made the trip over the bridge for ballet classes.
Awesome. Very cool. So as we get into it a little bit, how did you discover dance in the first place? Tell us about your dance background.
Yeah, so my neighbor across the street in Bensalem was her older sister danced, and she took a creative movement class, and I was just totally jealous. So my mom enrolled me. It was easy. There was someone to carpool with, and I totally fell in love. I was the girl who just couldn't get enough of the tap shoes, and I would take out my little play ironing board and set it up as a bar and do plies and tendus when I was a kid. And from there it just sort of evolved. I discovered that I really loved the discipline of ballet, and as a teenager that was really my strong suit. So I kind of zeroed in on that in my high school years, and then from there went on to study modern and jazz, come back to jazz at Desales University, which is right up the road in Center Valley. So
Wonderful. Thank you so much for kind of sharing your early memories of dance with us. It's always nice to hear kind of where someone started and just the joy that it brings on your face.
it's wonderful to think back to the people who helped instill that passion in you, whether it was my neighbor who I don't know if she realizes what an impact she had on my life, or your teachers. It's just really wonderful to reflect and hold some gratitude and some space for them in your heart. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you're doing that for all of your students as well. So that's awesome.
Your best, right?
So what were some of your early challenges as a dancer?
Yeah, so I loved ballet, and I was pretty adept at it, as I mentioned. And then puberty hit, as it does for so many young women. And so that, kind of changed my body, it changed my balance, it changed just my whole way of dancing and being in the world. So that was pretty difficult. But because of that, I feel like I really try to encourage my students to be body positive and to realize that, you can be a dancer, even a ballet dancer, with any physique. Especially now we have so many great, wonderful women like Misty Copeland to look up to, who kind of break that conventional mold. Um, but also, if that doesn't work out for you, if your first plan doesn't work out for whatever reason, sometimes the backup plan, even if you didn't imagine it at first, is so much better than you could have realized. I fell in love with choreography towards the end of my high school career. I had some really wonderful mentors who pushed me in that direction. And then, going to DeSales and eventually to UMD for graduate school just put me on a path to find a level of personal empowerment that I don't know would have been there if my first plan had worked out.
Yeah, that's so true to acknowledge that sometimes the path might lead you in a different direction, and that's completely okay. Sometimes I think as like young dancers, you imagine yourself as this ballerina, but it's like, maybe you end up discovering another type of dance that, fits more with your aesthetic and just your overall style. So I think, thinking about like modern dance, sometimes people don't imagine themselves as like, I'm going to grow up to be a modern dancer. But it happens and you fall in love with those things. So thanks for sharing.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. And it's even, I think, if your career path doesn't take you into dance at all. I know so many people who majored in dance and then took those skills and transferred them to work. I have a friend that works with kids with special needs. I have friends who work in human resources and as educators in all different fields. And, your time will never be wasted in the studio. You can take those lessons with you, what you learned, and just apply it wherever you go in life.
Absolutely. Very well said. Awesome. You have danced and worked with many different companies. I'll name a few: Glade Dance Collective, EVP Dance Project, Annex Dance, Terra Firma Dance, just to name a few. For many dancers that are interested in dancing professionally with a company, can you share with us any insights on your freelance dance work and what it takes to get to that level?
Sure. Oh yeah. So, um, it's a lot of work. I never, I never sort of reached maybe I'm going to say like the big leagues that I had originally maybe hoped to, either, the New York ballet companies or, the big full-time companies. But there are opportunities out there if you want to dance. There are so many wonderful small companies in every city, but especially in Philadelphia. I miss it so much. Where you can build a performance career for yourself alongside of whatever you do, maybe to make money. I've really been thinking about the idea of being bivocational right now, because my husband is a cellist and a software engineer. And so, if you want to make it work for yourself, you totally can, but you got to put in the work. So, for me, that first year out of college, when I graduated to sales, it was getting myself to class when there wasn't the threat of getting a bad grade if I didn't go. And it was taking care of my body, making sure I got the exercise in, the nutrition, the rest, the self-care, and just really, preparing yourself not only physically but emotionally for the ups and downs. I was fortunate to work with a lot of really, really great people, but there were also a lot of disappointments along the way, and a lot of times where I really thought maybe I nailed that audition or that class went really well, and it just didn't pan out for whatever reason. So putting in the physical work, but also making sure you're taking care of yourself holistically. It's one of my favorite words. That you are able to be in it for the long run and you don't burn out after the first couple trials and challenges and disappointments.
Absolutely. I feel like it's so important, especially as a dancer, and just making sure that you're not pouring from an empty cup, so to speak. Um,
Yeah.
Taking care of yourself, and the more you take care of yourself, the better you are to be able to perform, to serve others, to do all the things that you're trying to do. So very important point to make.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're all learning constantly, lifelong.
So you are the creator of the Holistic Dance Teacher. Tell us how that came about.
Yeah, so that is it was a pre-pandemic kind of idea, but I feel like I kind of have the pandemic to thank for the direction it's gone in. So I have always um, been pretty passionate about the idea of coming to dance from a holistic perspective. And so for me, that involves a couple of different levels. So there's four core tenets that I like to describe when I'm thinking about what a holistic dance teacher or choreographer or performance will do. And that is honoring individuality. So even in ballet class, even when we're all there in the core, being our best swan or sylph or whatever, what is it that we have that's unique to bring to the table? And what do our students have that's unique? And how can we really honor where they are at individually and let that shine no matter what the tradition of our teaching practice is? And then the second is honoring community. So, what is the dynamic of the group that you're working with, and how are you as a leader really making time and space to create a community? Especially now when we're all living in front of screens. Before COVID, and even more so now, I think it's so important to, even if we want extra time to drill those pirouettes or polish our choreography, whatever it is, make some time for team building, make some time for group creative expression, because being together in time and space is something that's unique to dance, and I think it's just so important that we honor that. So we honoring individuality, excuse me, honoring community, and building a positive class culture, which emerges naturally when you have those first two things in place. I think the days of the mean old dance teacher are over. I'm done with them. Yeah, and I know you are too, right? It should dance should be celebratory, and I think when we can really work to empower our students to find their joy in dance, and it leads to a positive culture and it leads to much better results, technically, performance wise, emotionally, socially, everything for our students is better when we are positive. And then lastly, it's holding space for our own well being. So you mentioned not pouring from an empty cup, and that is like the industry standard. I feel like we are always expected to be giving more than we take in this field. And I think it just does a disservice. You know, it leads to burnout, it leads to frustration, it leads to negativity. And um, if we are able to take care of ourselves, we take better care of the people around us. So that's sort of the belief behind the holistic dance teacher, but what it actually is right now is a line of resources and services that try to make life easier for teachers and choreographers in particular. So I have a collection of guides and worksheets that teachers can use to help them plan their lesson, to help their students grow socially and emotionally by setting goals and journaling, and things for studio directors and program managers to help get them organized and kind of take some of the burden out of teaching. And then I'll be launching in the near future a new website where I'll be able to host more individual coaching sessions for teachers and students and try to help people implement the resources that are available to them through the holistic dance teacher in their own practice. That was a lot. But what can I say? I'm very passionate about all this work. So
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing. I can tell how passionate you are. You're just like boiling with excitement. I love how you've thought of every single facet of it, whether it's the teacher who's teaching or the student, or just creating kind of that atmosphere, the environment, the community. I think all of those things they're just like levels that really are so important in your dance practice. So thank you so much for creating this, sharing it. I just can't wait to continue to dive more into your materials and hopefully learn from you as well. So it's
well, it's mutual, we're always learning from one another. And I think if you reach a point where you don't want to learn anymore, that to me is like the worrying sign. So I know I'm always learning. I'm always following your social media accounts and checking out your interviews, and it's great that we have such a wonderful, strong community within the dance field, and anything that we can do to contribute to it, I think is only makes it better.
Absolutely, especially during this time, I feel like dance has been like the thing that's keeping some of us like sane. The thing that's keeping us connected. It's the thing that's keeping us well, making sure we are taking care of ourselves by staying physically active, by continuing to learn, to tune into classes, to our counterparts who we would have danced with in person. But now being able to connect on kind of a new level, it's so important, especially now. So thank you.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, for kids and adults, right? Dance is often a lifeline. I hear that so often, and to be able to continue it, I think is really important. So some of the new resources I launched have been focused on dance games and improv prompts that teachers can use when they're teaching online, because we all know it's a little bit different to take class online. You don't have space, maybe it's still definitely worth it 1,000%, but we need to adapt, to how we do that. So I'm trying to just think of new creative ways to reach out to students.
So last question for you, Shannon. What is in the future for you and a holistic dance teacher?
Yeah, so the new website will be launching. So I'm really excited about some of the upgrades that are coming along with that. There'll be a online store front as opposed to just a PayPal button. So it'll be much easier to purchase the resources. I'm going to be able to offer more coaching sessions for students or teachers or choreographers, and informal adjudication. I mean, so I'm available to review choreography or performance, maybe for an audition or a performance that you have coming up, and thing that'll be on the docket. Yeah.
Really awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's just a pleasure seeing you again through all this time and connecting. And I'm just really excited to continue to stay connected and learn more about all the things that you're doing. So thank you so much. On behalf of Hearts Dance and Yoga, thank you, Shannon, for being here. Where can people learn more about you, maybe on social media or any other channels that you want to share with us?
Oh, sure. So first of all, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited to talk with you and keep this connection up, and just as I said, continue learning and growing together. But if you want to know more, so my website is www.shannondoolingdances.com, and I have a blog. I'm always trying to put out new ideas for choreography and teaching. there. And that's also where you could find the resources. On social media, I'm at Shannon Dooling Dances on Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We're so excited to have you. And I will be chatting with you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.